What is up, guys? Metal Sonic Dude here, back again with another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. With the Abyss encroaching towards the community, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to do a comparison video between the two most likely top dons of the Abyss, Aegon and Guillotine 2099. Both of these champions are incredible in their own respects. They work well on the same team. One can do one while the other can do something else. They're both fantastic champions, is what I'm trying to say. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of go over the pros and cons and my opinion on who's going to be the better of the two in reference to the Abyss. Now, obviously, this is a estimate video. It's a prediction. I could totally be wrong in my guesses, but we'll just have to wait and see. This is just a preliminary video for the Abyss's top dons. So if we're going to start off jumping right in with Aegon and the pros. So Aegon's pros, first of all, most obvious one, at 999 hits in his combo meter, he's arguably the best champion in the entire game. It's a pretty known fact that if you get Aegon to 999, you're unstoppable. You can't really lose with Aegon at 999 unless there's some really BS interaction, because he's unblockable, ability accuracy reduction, all the hits are crits. He is arguably the best champion in the entire game once he has reached the full 999 in his combo. Sorry if you can hear the line notifications from my computer, but they're just talking about how I soloed the war boss. So next for Aegon, his utility is pretty high once his combo is up there, and he can shrug off debuffs. That's a really, really good ability to have. Shrugging off debuffs is really good because it's not just particularly one or two debuffs, it's all debuffs. So that's great. So next up for Aegon, he does not require a synergy for max effectiveness. Now, obviously, you can run synergy teams that help Aegon's damage output or his survivability, but in general, Aegon does not need any synergy team whatsoever to be Aegon, which is cool, which is really cool. One thing I forgot to put on this list is Aegon's pretty suicide friendly as long as you're not throwing special attacks willy-nilly. In the fights to ramp up Aegon, you might not want to be running suicides at that point, because you want to get as high a combo as possible and then kill them, so you're closer to 999 than you would be if you were running suicides, because the fight would end faster. So Aegon is pretty suicide friendly in the right matchup, so I forgot to put that on there, but that is also a point of Aegon's pros. So, another pro for Aegon is he can reduce ability accuracy once he's reached a certain combo threshold. That's huge. It's a 100% ability accuracy reduction for the opponent. I'm not sure what the threshold is exactly, because I'm not the owner of a 5 or 6 star Aegon. I could be tomorrow, but hey. So, I know he can reduce it, I just don't know what the threshold is exactly. So, he has that, and that is crazy. And the last pro for Aegon is longer fights make the ramp up easier. Like I was saying before, you don't really want to run suicides with Aegon when you're ramping him up, because you want the fights to be longer so you can get more of the combo stored in the bank. Speaking of storing the combo in the bank, let's move on to Aegon's cons. The first con is he does require a massive ramp up over multiple fights to reach max effectiveness. Now in Abyss, this actually will help Aegon, because you're not going to be able to solo most of the fights in the Abyss that are 6 million health. So he's going to have multiple tries and multiple fights on one champion to ramp up his combo, so that will help him. But in most situations, this isn't really the greatest thing. It's a huge ramp up. Another huge con of Aegon, but it's fine because obviously, I'll get to why this is fine in a minute, but he has to be awakened to keep his combo. Now, I understand why Kabam has done this, because if they just gave Aegon all his combo, if they gave Aegon the ability to keep his combo unawakened, he'd be crazy. So they give Aegon, you need 2 pieces of a master weapon. The first piece, you just have to get Aegon. The final piece is the awakened ability. It's like the Aegon, getting him one time is the handle, and the dupe is the sword. So he's a weapon, he's a weapon that requires two pieces. He has to be awakened to keep his combo. If not, oh boy, good luck to you in your 500 plus hit fights in Labyrinth of Legends or Abyss of Legends. Even though you can't get 500 hits in Abyss, nonetheless. He also requires a very high signature level to sustain a high combo. Another part of Aegon being a two-piece weapon, not only does he need to be awakened, but to sustain a lot of the combo that you did in a fight, he needs a decent amount of sig levels, because let's say you do a 200 hit fight or a 100 hit fight. If you have a sig 200, you get 75% of that combo, so you'll either get 75 hits or 100 and some odd hits, so that's great. But if you only have him at sig 20 or 30, or 20 or 40, I mean, you're only going to get maybe 20 or 30 hits from that, which isn't bad, obviously, but if you want to ramp up Aegon as fast as possible, you want a high sig level. Another con about Aegon is he has no regeneration ability and no natural immunities. Now, obviously, the immunities one is counteracted by his ability to shrug off debuffs, but it would be nice if Aegon had a base immunity to something, but he doesn't, which, that's okay. Aegon is still Aegon. He can shrug off debuffs, so I guess that they kind of contradict each other, but the regeneration, he doesn't have any form of regen, so potions is all I'm saying, potions. And he is impractical to use in certain matchups. Same thing with Gilly. Both of them in their respected matchups, which are longer fights, are absolutely spectacular. They are fantastic. Like, hands down, one of the top 5 options, period, for any of those fights. But in certain fights, like maybe smaller fights, they're a little impractical. Now, obviously, both of them have a great ramp up and can be used in smaller fights, but it's going to be better to use champions that can deal with smaller fights better or smaller health pools more effectively than a ramp up character. This is what I'm trying to, it's the point I'm trying to get across. So that wraps it up for Aegon. Obviously, his cons aren't huge, besides the awakened ability and the combo, but Aegon is still a ridiculous champion, and I want Aegon very bad. Moving on to Guillotine 2099, my girl, my Comic-Con baby, Gilly. Pros of Gilly: she has arguably the highest potential damage per second, damage output in the entire game. I got very close to this damage ramp up in my Maestro solo. I was very close, and once she reached over 500 hits, each hit of her basic attacks was dealing an extra 20k damage. So, excuse me, each hit in a 5-hit combo is 20k. 5 hits, that's 100k damage per 5-hit combo. And that just keeps going up. So at max combo, I think it's somewhere around 27 or 28,000 per base hit. That's crazy, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. Imagine starting off an Abyss fight with that many hits. They'll die in like 100 hits, not even. It'll be ridiculous. Maybe 200 hits because 2.4, yeah. So nonetheless, the highest potential damage output in the game, which is gimped by Abyss because a damage cap, a hit cap rewards skill and player knowledge of the game. Good on you, Kabam. Next pro about Guillotine, she's double immune. Double immune champ, that's really good. Bleed and poison immune, which means if you run suicides, you can just go into a fight, boom, don't have to worry about taking any of that suicide damage. Very nice to have. I don't run suicides, but I know people who do, and have a Guillotine, and they love that, which is great. Another pro about Guillotine is she has a power control mechanic, 2 ways of utilizing a power control. On her special one, if you have at least 1 soul left, or once you reached the combo threshold after 100 hits, and you activated the power burn soul. 2 ways of power control. Obviously, the special one is more effective, but if you need a little power control, a little mini power control, the assaultant one, I believe it's called, the power control soul is still has its uses. Another pro about Guillotine, this is huge. She has 2 forms of regen. She has a regen at a combo threshold if you activate the sustainability. No, not the soul that grants you regen after 100 hits, and she has a massive regen if she's at or below 15%. I'm pretty sure it's a 35% regen, and it's over 4 seconds, which is huge. Which means if you take a hit and you slip up, and you're taking to 10%, you're gonna go right back up to 40% in 3 or 4 seconds. Fantastic. Plus, the regen on her medium hits is about 120 health, so, doing a 5-hit combo, you regaining about 240 health. That's a small potion right there, which is fantastic. Another huge pro about Guillotine is she only requires 1 fight ramp up for 100 hits. Now, obviously in Abyss, that's going to be different because you're not going to be able to solo any of the Abyss fights without Guillotine at her max ramp, so it's going to be a few fights for that, but in the most common matchups, in the majority of matchups, you're only going to need 1 fight for the 100-hit combo ramp up, which is nice. Another piece of pro about Guillotine, it's not really utilized that much, but I had to use it to solo Maestro. She has a small heal reversal on her special 2. This heal reversal is 120%, and it activates when you activate the special 2. You don't have to hit the opponent like Guillotine. When you throw the special 2, boom, it turns on. And it lasts for, I think, 12 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. It's a decent heal reversal, so, if you ever need to reverse a little regen or just stop it to avoid them healing all the way back to full, just pop that special 2. It'll stop it, it'll reverse it a little bit. It's nice. It's not the greatest reversal. I think it's only minus 20%, which is still, that's nice, but it's there. It's utility. And another huge pro about Guillotine is she does not need to be awakened to be a beast. That awaken ability is not required at all. It's very nice because it does 2 things. Gives you a combo shield once at a high sig level. At sig 200, it's a 100% chance when you get hit to activate a combo shield that lasts longer depending on how many souls you have. And it caps your damage, the damage that you take at 10% if you have a combo shield on, excluding a special 3. So let's say you use some heavy attacks to get those combo shields and you get hit by a 1-hit special 2 or 1-hit special 1. Your damage is only going to be capped at 10%. So you have that little safeguard there as well, which is really nice, really neat. I didn't really appreciate the value of that until I read the ability and understood what it really meant. So those are Guillotine's pros. She has more than Aegon, but she's a newer champion, so she's going to have more abilities and such. The cons of Guillotine: she has a very low base health pool. She is a glass cannon. She has a high attack rating, high crit rating, I believe, but she can't crit naturally, and a normal block proficiency, but her base health pool is very low, which is, a little scary, but the regen helps for sustainability. Another con about Guillotine: if you take 1 hit, the entire combo resets. So imagine you're a Labyrinth, right, or you're in Abyss. You take 1 hit, they evade you, they hit you with a light attack, boom, your combo's back to 0. Yeah, that can really hurt. The thing about Aegon is, if you get hit and die with Aegon, you keep whatever combo you had. It doesn't work like that with Guillotine. Guillotine's damage per second is gimped in energy resistant fights. That's a huge con. In Labyrinth, the Ultron that has energy resistance, you can't really do that fight with Guillotine. It's pretty impossible unless you're gonna power through it with You're gonna power through it with just her base damage output once her ramp up had reached 100, which, I'm not saying is impossible, but in energy resistant fights, her energy damage is heavily reduced, which heavily gimps her damage output overall. Guillotine does not have ability accuracy reduction of any sort. That's another con. Not really the biggest issue, because all of her other pieces of utility kind of work around this, so she doesn't need ability accuracy reduction, but it would be kind of nice to have, but again, not really necessary. Now, in my opinion, the biggest con of Guillotine is to gain the 100 hit combo for the next fight, you must KO with a special 3. Now, in Labyrinth, the special 3 is capped at 50k damage, so you need to get your opponent to 2% or 1% to a special 3 and then KO them. Kind of nitpicky. What I wish it was is KO with any special attack, gain the 100 hit combo for the next fight. That would be great. But I digress. I'm not asking for them to buff Guillotine. I feel like she's perfectly balanced. She's such a great champion. And this is a thing that the players have to work around, but if they want to use Guillotine to the maximum potential, they have to succumb to this requirement. And the last con about Guillotine is she is also impractical in certain matchups, just like Aegon. Certain matchups, you don't really want to use Guillotine because there are better champions to handle certain matchups in the game. So my overall thoughts about both of the champions, they're both going to be ridiculous for the Abyss, I believe. Even at 240 hits, they're both going to dish out a lot of damage, and they're going to make the Abyss hopefully a better time than it would have been a few years ago if we didn't have Aegon or Guillotine. Who do I think is going to be better in the Abyss? I can't really say as of right now. Both of them look like they're going to have their strong matchups and their weak matchups. Aegon has his combo meter a little bit inflated because he has a 6-hit combo, so that's not going to help him a ton, but Guillotine can't sustain her combo over multiple fights, so that's not going to help her a lot. But I feel like if you run both of them on the same team, they're going to play off very well with each other, because what you can do, I heard some people talking about this on Twitter, is you can go in the fight with Aegon, get them down to like 20%, which builds Aegon's combo, and then finish the fight with Guillotine to gain the 100 hit combo for the next fight, and then just flip-flop between both of the champions. That seems like it was going to be a sick strat. So that brings me to the end of the video, my comparison of Aegon versus Guillotine. Overall, I feel like they're going to have equal utility in the Abyss. There are going to be fights that Aegon's going to be better for, and there are going to be fights that Guillotine's going to be better for, but I feel like they're going to play off of each other well if you run them on the same team. So, with that, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.